What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys today. And obviously, if you did watch our update or if you've seen the outputs from Tottenham and Destiny Udogies over the last couple of days, you would have known that Destiny Udogies is out for the rest of the season, which leaves us in a very, very precarious situation going into the rest of the season, seeing as we don't have any natural solutions for Destiny Udogies or natural fits, because Destiny Udogies just gives us something completely different, that physicality driving up the pitch, that driving force we have at left back. So we're going to look today at different kind of alternative options that we can potentially play.
Yeah, and it's a difficult situation because, as you say, we don't really have a natural replacement for Destiny Udogies. It's such a big part of how we play. So it's up to Ange whether he gets creative, finds a different solution in terms of formation changes, or does he just go with the tried and tested option that we all know and love, who's been at the club for a while, but is not a natural fit for the system. So we're going to be kind of exploring all options.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the first option that we will be looking at is Ben Davies to fill in at left back. Davis, Van der Ven, Romero, Porro in a back four. We don't even know if Porro is going to be fit for the North London derby. We're just going to take for the whole season as an example. But in terms of Ben Davies, I just think his time at left back is done at Tottenham, particularly the way Destiny Udogies in the inverted role, and as he sits around the number 10 position quite a lot, and the areas that he takes up on the pitch. I just don't think this is an option anymore.
And when he has played left back for Spurs this season, albeit most of the time it's been cameo appearances, he hasn't really. I think he started 2 games, the loss at home to Wolves, and I think the game away at Palace, which he went off at half time, because he didn't have a great game as well in that one. So I don't think he's done that well when he has played at left back. I think on the ball, he's obviously composed on the ball. He's got a good pass on him. He can take the ball under pressure. But I don't think he's the kind of player. Obviously, he can't do those charge up the pitch Udogies can do. And I am worried about his lack of pace in the back line, especially if he's inverting. Udogies has that recovery pace to get back in position. And even he sometimes struggles to get back because there's so much ground to cover. If you put Davis there, either he plays that role differently or he's really going to struggle in that position. So that's a very big concern for me. Obviously, I think defensively, when he's in position, he's okay. Like he can deal with most things that come at him. I think he's quite a good defender, but the way we play, how we get hit in transitionally so often, I definitely see him struggling in those situations.
And it's going to kind of give Van der Ven like so many roles to do in the game as well, because you're going to need to recover for Ben Davies on the left-hand side. He's going to have to do his usual recovering in the centre of the pitch as well. I mean, you saw that in front of our own eyes at Fulham away, didn't we, at Craven Cottage earlier this season in the Cup game?
Yeah, and I thought, obviously Van der Ven had a good game that game, but I'm worried about that situation if Davis was to play there. So I would try and find a creative solution, but Davis has had a few good cameos, I would say. There's a few times he's come on at left back and done. I remember right at the beginning of the season, he came on against Man United, played left back and got an assist for the own goal, and he did play quite well. So maybe Ange will look at that and think he can do the role. But when he has started in that position, he has struggled.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right if we're talking about coming up against like your Lutons and Sheffield Uniteds, but we are coming up against Sheffield United last game of the season, but we got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, all in a stretch now. So it is going to be very difficult. The next option that we do have is the same 3, but with Emerson at left back. We have seen Emerson fill in there a couple of times this season, albeit not to the greatest quality.
And this is obviously given that Porro is fit, because otherwise he's going to be needed at right back. I've never been a fan of Emerson inverting in the left back. I think he's been really bad whenever we've seen him there. Another player who I think the problem with him is on the ball. His ability is so poor. He's not comfortable on the ball. He can't seem to do simple things on the ball, which we need him to do. And especially with the amount of time our fullbacks spend on the ball, I think it's a recipe for disaster. Defensively, if he just sits there and in the back line and doesn't foray forward too much, maybe he could be okay. But obviously coming up against some really good wingers, I do worry they're going to twist him into a bit of a pretzel and he's going to get all discombobulated coming up against these kind of high-class wingers on his wrong side. And that's a situation I worry about as well, especially if they go on the outside of him. I don't see him coping with that situation very well. So that's the least favourite of my options, I would say.
Yeah, you're talking about these 2 options. And if we do go go these two options, surely Ange has to drop maybe the inverted fullback thing for this like stretch.
Yeah, you'd hope so, because I don't see either of them coping with it too well.
The third option that we do have is Van de Ven to go to left back and Dragushin to come in at left centre back. We have seen Dragushin struggle a little bit at left centre back. Van de Ven at left back was an option that we talked about when he first came to the club. We haven't seen him there as of yet, but what do you think of him maybe filling in there?
I do think he would cope better than the other two options. Again, I don't think he's good enough on the ball to do it, but I think he is better than the other two on the ball, and maybe he's good enough to do a serviceable job in terms of how he is in build-up. Obviously, defensively, you get a lot of benefits. I do see him playing left-back and Saka struggling to get past him and things like that. I would probably urge him not to go forward if he was to play left-back. Just be that stick behind the halfway line, and maybe that means he stays there and Porro can just be almost, like a right winger.
That can turn into a back three.
Yeah, essentially, that's what I would play it if I was to do that role. Obviously, Dragushin has his problems at left centre-back as well, so that's another problem that we'd have to contend with since he's played in that role. I haven't been fully convinced with him when he's had to, with his passing angles, he tends not to pass to the left-hand side when he's playing left centre-back, and that is a bit of an issue. But I do see Van de Ven doing okay in that role. And also, I do see him on occasion charging down the left-hand side, like Jan Vertonghen-esque, like down that left-hand side and just whipping across in and providing a sort of job there. I don't see him being too well in those little moments like Udogies does when the spaces are tight and he can kind of turn out of trouble with his strength. I do see Van de Ven not being as nimble as Udogies in those kind of scenarios, so I could see him maybe giving the ball away. But if he has space, I can see him doing a serviceable job on the ball.
Yeah, I do kind of like the idea. I mean, obviously nothing's as good as Destiny Udogies, but I do like the idea of maybe in attack you have Porro bombing it on, doing his usual role, and then the three sticking back, and then in defence maybe providing a bit of a back three kind of thing with Dragushin in the middle, Van de Ven left back, and Romero on the right. I do kind of like that on the face of things, but we will miss a bit going forward, won't we?
Of course, and without Udogies, we don't have any of those options are good enough going forward, 100%. So that's just what we're going to be missing, and I don't think you can ever replace that. So for me, I think Ange has to be a bit creative with how he approaches this. I don't think just replacing light for light, replacing Udogies for Emerson or Davis and expecting them to do it in a similar way is going to work. I think he's going to have to change things up a bit, and he's going to have to show his adaptability here, in my opinion. Yeah,
especially with how great offensively these teams are on the wings. You're looking at Bukayo Saka as the guy that they're going to come up against this weekend. But the other option we have is a complete formation change, playing three centre-backs with Van de Ven, Romero and Dragushin as a back three. I have it there as Dragushin on the right, Van de Ven on the left and Romero in the middle, and then maybe a winger out on the left-hand side, maybe a Timo or even a Kulusevski.
Yeah, I think what I would do is put Dragushin in the centre.
Why Dragushin?
Because I think Romero and Van de Ven are better on the ball, and that gives them more space. And I think they're better defending wide areas, whereas Dragushin's better defending in the box, getting headers away and things like that. That's what I would do if I was doing that formation. And then potentially have a winger on as one of the wing backs. But as well, that winger there could maybe half cheat a bit because he's got Van de Ven behind him, so he can cover a lot of ground and he can cover those wide areas. Obviously, he's going to have to help support him, and obviously maybe the centre mid who's on that side is going to have to help as well. But I kind of like that option, as Van de Ven can cover a lot of that ground in the wide area. He's also comfortable on the left back slot as well, and Porro can bomb on the right hand side, and you've also got kind of a winger. It's kind of like what Harvey Barnes did against us. Yes, he was a left wing back, but he spent a lot of that time in that left winger role doing those jobs and causing problems. And I think that kind of formation could really benefit us, in my opinion. But then if you're playing three at the back, and then how do you play? You play three in the centre. It's like a 3-5-2. What is it? 3-4-3 kind of, or 3-4-3. So I'm trying to work out. You're playing Van de Ven, Dragushin, Romero,
and Porro
on the right wing back. Werner left wing / left wing back.
Then you've got a Bissouma and Bentancur or Sarr in the middle.
Bissouma, Bentancur, and then what? Maddison
and Son, or Maddison maybe just in behind Son.
Maddison, Son, because it's 3-4-3. 4-3. You got
3-5. We could do 3-5-2.
3-5-2
with 3 central midfielders there, and then Maddison and Son
You
up
could
front.
do like 3-5-2, but that kind of Werner's almost like another winger, so you've got another option there.
I like 3-5-2 and have like Maddison and Son really close to each other.
What, up front?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if it's 3-5-2, you want Maddison. You'd want Maddison that 3 in the middle.
You could have, yeah, you do want him, but you could have a middle 3 of maybe Bissouma, Bentancur and Sarr, and just make yourself really defensively solid, who can progress the ball as well, and then have Maddison connecting that with Son.
I think it would probably have to be 3-5-2 with Maddison in the centre, same 3 as we got now, and then Werner is like a hybrid winger, and then you've got kind of Johnson and Son up front, with Johnson pulling to the right sometimes as well.
You know, I wouldn't mind that, a 3-5-2 with Johnson and Son as literally 2 out-and-out strikers. That will give them so much to think about. So much to think about. Match them up 2v2, Saliba and Gabriel against Son and Brennan Johnson, and get them running in behind, constantly running in behind, with Maddison feeding them those balls in behind. I think that could work.
The only problem is it too much change?
Well, yeah, that is a problem, but also the way you got to look at it as well, it could throw a massive curveball to Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, because they'll be planning all week playing against a 4-3-3, 4-3-3, 4-3-3, and then suddenly we play a 3-5-2 with Son and Johnson, high pressing from the front. I actually think it could work.
Could be interesting.
I think that would actually be my favourite option to go for.
Yeah.
What would you?
I think I would want to throw a curveball like that. I would kind of want to play 3 at the back, but do it in a way where it doesn't change too much, though. So I don't know if I would play with 2 up front. I would probably go 3. It's like a 3-4-3 with Porro basically a hybrid right back, right wing back, and then you've got Maddison kind of in the forward line / come back into the middle, and then Werner on the left / can go left wing back / winger. So that's kind of how I'd play it, with just Son. So a front 3 of technically Maddison, Son and Johnson. But when we're on the ball, maybe Maddison could come into the centre and Werner can go back on the left wing, kind of thing.
And then obviously we haven't spoken about what would happen if Porro's out as well. That just brings a whole another end of problems. A whole other end of problems, because we saw what happened last time both fullbacks didn't play. We were absolutely dreadful, weren't we? Weren't able to progress the ball up the pitch at all, and get caught out defensively or those counter-attacks time and time again with the likes of Pedro Neto. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult if Pedro Porro is out, but we're going to assume, pleased, that he's fit for this weekend. But those are the kind of alternative options that we could play without Destiny Udogie in the team for the rest of the season. Let me know what your favourite option is, and if you have any other kind of solutions more outside the box than what we've given you, let us know in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.